Hi, thank you so much for joining me once again. So, how do you prepare for dating? That is a question that many people never ask themselves, yet is a question that is valid, it is relevant, and it is actually important if at all you are going to do what you call purposeful dating, whereby you are not just doing things for the sake of it. And in this video, I'm going to take you through some of the steps that you can take in your preparation for dating so that you can maximize the chances of giving your best to the relationship and also getting the best that you can get. Let us get right in. Now, if you are a believer like me, you would want to start your dating journey with praying. And I know so many people never think of it this way, including those that are, those that are believers. They never think of involving God in what they are doing, yet you are hoping that God will protect you from anyone who would come to harm you, anyone who would come to hurt you. Because the truth is, there are so many people who get hurt during dating in a way that they never recover, or they take so long, they take so much to recover. So if you're a believer, I dare challenge you that before you start dating, you pray so that God can show you the kind of a person you should be dating, you should date, or the kind of a person you should hope to settle with in marriage. And I know again, this sounds like, Jennifer, what are you telling us? Yes, because so many people have had so much of their time wasted. They have had so much of their energy wasted. They have been taken through abuse, through traumatic experiences, and it is because they never involved their higher power when they were starting the dating journey. So this is actually what I would do if I were to go back in time and find myself dating. I would not proceed with a person before I involve God in it, because I believe that I can save myself from so much if I keep from doing things my way, if I keep from forcing things, because that is actually what we do. We force relationships, we force people into our lives, we force ourselves into people who maybe don't want us, or they are actually the wrong people for us, but we force it in that we never involve our higher power before we proceed with it. So for me, the starting point should be praying. It should be letting God know that you desire to settle and the kind of a person you want to settle with, and praying that he helps you get that kind of a person and protects you from all these others who leave people traumatized, who abuse people, and so on. The next step would be to get assessed for childhood or relationship trauma. The reason why I think this is extremely important, it is because of the so many people that I have come across who are wounded. And actually, even statistics show that about 78% of the people in the general population, they went through some form of trauma or another. I usually take people through childhood wounds in my online sessions, and we usually cover the different types of wounds and also the different types of adverse childhood experiences that cause those wounds. And so the question is always, have you gone through any of this? That is what I am trying to uncover with my clients, of course, after we have gone through their history. And most of them are actually shocked because they find that they have gone through numerous, not one, not two. But at the end of the day, because of the adverse childhood experiences being quite many, you find that many people, they either went through this or the other. It is so hard to get a person who just had it all smooth. Some people are lucky. I don't know whether I should call it luck or something, because they actually went through potentially traumatizing events, but they never get affected. They never get affected, or they don't get affected in the way we would expect. But majority of people in the population, they went through some form of trauma or another. The magnitude may vary, the severity may vary, but most people went through some form of trauma or another. And so for me, this is my sincere advice. If you are seeking to date, start by going for assessment for any childhood or relationship trauma. And if you are a person who is self-disciplined, and I'm one happy person because I've come across such people during my my work. I have interacted with them. I've had them as my clients. Actually, some of them, I have met people who are so self-disciplined, who are so determined to do things the right way, that I dare say that these people could have assessed themselves. Perhaps it's not recommended, but it is possible. And you do this by going through materials. And because initially you may not know that you have a problem, that is why I often encourage us to be readers. You are always reading some inspirational book somewhere, some good book somewhere, and it is in the process you're likely to come across things and you're like, wow, I think this applies to me. And then you read further about what you have just found, so that you get a deeper understanding of, of whatever it is that you have uncovered. And that is how you can end up assessing yourself and realizing, I think I have 1, 2, or 3 that I need to rectify. And by the way, because you are here, if you do want to get one of my best books, I dare say it is one of my best books on matters of how childhood affects us, inbox me. I'm going to share with you, a copy of the book by Beverly Angels. It is called Healing Your Emotional Self. Oh, and I love that book. I recommend it to those people, to my clients actually. And if you are my client, you know that I don't recommend a book that I have not gone through and that I've loved and realized it is offering something valuable. So if you are here and you would want to know where to start in terms of determining whether you could have been wounded in a way or another, and some of the things, the basic things that you can do to help yourself, inbox me on my WhatsApp. My number is passing here, and also I'll share it towards the end for those who would want me to take them through online sessions. So be assessed. If you can afford, see a therapist. That is always, always, always the best option. See a therapist, and I'm one of them. There are some people who come to my inbox and ask me, Jennifer, I would want to see a therapist. Would you recommend me to one? I am one, dear ones. I am. And it was a very intentional, process of getting here. I really wanted to be in a position to help people. I went back to school for it because it is something I love. It is something I believe in so much. So see a therapist if you can. Whether it is me or another, it doesn't matter. But that is always the best approach. But if you are not in a position to see a therapist, I mean, please, just like you read motivational books, just like you read all other, types of books on career, on everything, just like we watch videos on entertainment, on, anything else that you're interested in, let us make also a habit of watching videos like this one that you are watching, and I thank you for it, so that you can be able to know what are some of the areas in your life that you can improve. And it is in that process that you may actually be able to assess yourself and realize, I think there is something that I need to work on. And now, being assessed is one thing. The other one is actually working on it. And again, I know it is not an easy thing. But I often say I'm a person who believes that all things are possible. I believe all things are possible, and especially with God, all things are possible, and with determination, and with self-discipline, and with commitment. So again, even if you're not in a position to see a therapist, you can embark on a journey of understanding, how did I end up here? What are some of the things that I can do? Like, for instance, let us say that you have a outburst, and you just realize that your outburst actually emanate from some bitterness that you have because of abuse that you are taken through when you are a child. So the next step is, how can I improve my anger management skills? So I know that is quite on the surface, because if it is coming from the childhood, we would want to go to the childhood itself to uncover what is this that was done to you and help you along that line. But also, it is also important to work on your anger management. So this is something that you can actually do on your own. And that is why I usually say, even if you can't afford many therapy sessions, you can do the initial ones, whereby you have a therapist help you understand what is this in your childhood that you could have wounded you. And then from there, you can then proceed with the rest of the process if you're not able to afford therapy sessions, and empower yourself on the different areas that you could be struggling with. So that is how you assess yourself. That is how you go about it. But if you're able to afford a therapist, then they will assess you, they will help you, they will empower you, they will encourage you, they will motivate you, so that eventually you are able to come out, to bring out the original version of yourself. I like calling it that way, the original version of yourself, because many people are not the original version. They're just the survivor version. They're just the survivor version, the survivor of the things that they went through. That is who they are. That is what we see. That is what we interact with. And we want to bring out the real version of you. And that is what we strive to do through therapy sessions. So be assessed for this kind of trauma. And relationship trauma, by the way, I almost forgot, it is also a big thing. I have realized that so many people also struggle because uh because because of the past relationships that they had, and especially and specifically if you had an abusive relationship, they will leave you wounded. Such relationships leave you wounded, they leave you traumatized, and you may have so much baggage that proceeding with another marriage, with another relationship, you are almost guaranteed of failure or challenges, deep challenges, so that it becomes really hard to to make the marriage work. And so that is why it is also important to be assessed for relationship trauma, or to assess yourself. And when I say to assess yourself, I know the kind of work I'm doing. I know the kind of work others like me are doing, offering free materials. But then if you don't follow me on my Facebook page, you are missing out so much. I am Mental Health by Jennifer Carey. And also I have another page that I started recently, Dating Right, Date Right, Marry Right, Live Right. And the reason why we offer these materials, it is because we want to open the eyes of a person out there who had no idea that they are wounded, so that they can know that there is something amiss, and then they start the journey of handling it. Before I continue, I have a request. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly do it. It will not even take you 2 seconds. Hapo chini, hapo, just hit subscribe. We are going to 1,000 subscribers, and I believe this is happening, but I need you to help me in achieving that. So if you have yet to do it, kindly fanya hiyo maneno. Let us continue. Step number 3, upgrade your self-love and your self-care. Oh my God, I cannot overemphasize this. I cannot overemphasize this. I mean, it is so important. Let me tell you, dear one, you should not present yourself to be loved by a person. You should not attempt to love a person if you don't love yourself. If you don't love yourself enough, if I may put it that way, because many people actually love themselves but not enough. The reason why I say this is because I don't know how we got here, but so many people tend to imagine that it is another person who is actually supposed to come and love them. They overlook, they don't see the importance of self-love. Yet, trust me, even if someone else comes and showers you with love and everything, there are 2 things that are likely to occur. One is that you may be so swayed, because these are things you have never experienced in your life. They are not even things you have ever imagined. They are not even the things you have ever even thought that you can get in this life. So you are likely to be swayed to an extent of being manipulated, and that is how we get people falling in the hands of narcissists. But when you love yourself, you already familiar with what it feels to value yourself, to be valued. And I know this is quite weird, but I usually tell people, try to step out of yourself in a way and ask yourself, are you treating yourself in the right way? Are you loving yourself enough? So that even as another person comes, they find a person who is settled. They know how it feels like to be loved. Otherwise, you'll not even know, someone may come and they're loving you, but you don't even understand that language in the first place. So you need to make sure you start by loving yourself. And that makes a whole difference in the chances of a relationship or a dating relationship working, because you are not overburdening another person with them having to do virtually everything for you. You are already used to doing certain things, and also you are also not likely to be manipulated by love bombing and the rest. And also, it is also important to note that when you already have a system for loving yourself, like spending your own time alone, doing all these nice things to yourself, you don't judge yourself harshly, you give yourself opportunities, and so on and so forth. When another person comes, they got no choice but to fit into the system. So you are actually showing another person how to love you. This is how I desire to be loved. This is my love language. That is what you are telling them. And so you increase the chances of getting the right person, so to say. The person who will love you in the way you desire, because they find that you already have a system in place. You already have a way in which you have a template of the way you do want to be loved. The same applies in the self-care. And self-care, by the way, it's a way deeper concept than many people imagine. And by the way, I will do a post on this on my Facebook page very soon. There are different types of self-care. Unfortunately, many people attend to physical self-care alone. And I'm talking about physical self-care, psychological self-care, spiritual self-care, social self-care. So there are quite a number, and you're supposed to address them and make sure that you're taking care of yourself properly before you bring another person into your life. Because when you have abandoned yourself, you are actually not in a position to love and to be loved. Or someone will come and be pissed off by the way you have abandoned yourself. And also, like spiritual self-care, which is dear to me, by the way, it also helps you. It serves as a guide. Like I said in my first point, where I said that I would advise that if you are a believer, you pray about it. So spiritual self-care will also help you along this line. You'll be able to know whether the person that you are dating, the person who is approaching you, is a godly person, and it is a person that you should proceed with. So that is extremely important. Upgrade your self-care and self-love if they are low, so that a person can find someone who loves themselves, someone who takes care of themselves, and someone who is actually ready to love. The next step is listen to and or read listen to and read stories about working marriages. And I know this is something that many people don't do. My people, you cannot be preparing to get married, but you're still stuck in spaces where people only talk about failing marriages. And I know so well my page addresses a lot about abusive marriages, and it is because that is a huge proportion of what I believe I was called for, so I have to do it. But I usually advise, even as you read what I write and you're being careful about being abused and everything, you also make sure you're also consuming content on marriages that work. You need to teach a system that marriages actually do work, because if you don't do that, you have a very negative view of marriage, and you are not in the best place to get married. So part of preparing for dating, part of preparing for bringing the other gender into your life, it is actually making your mind understand that these things happen, and it is possible to have a happy marriage. A happy relationship is possible. You need to feed yourself that, so that you can actually familiarize yourself with it, so that you can recognize it when you see it only. Otherwise, before you read about our failing marriages, trust me, you'll get into the dating market, but you don't even believe, it's like chasing something and you don't even believe you can achieve it. It's like playing a game and you don't believe you can score a goal. How are you going to win? Chances are you will not score that goal, or it will be just some coincidence of some kind. So for me, what I actually advise is read books on marriages that work, watch videos on marriages that work, listen to those who freely share their stories. And I do share mine to some extent. Listen to those who share stories of working marriages. Prepare the marshals, so that by the time you are getting into a relationship, you believe that relationships work, marriages work, so that increases the chances of actually having it work for you. So that is another yet crucial step. Finally, go to places that has married, unmarried people of your choice. And I know this sounds like too simplistic, but yes, you can't be going to places where there are only married people. You cannot be going to places where people are not ready for dating, and you are expecting that you'll get a person to date. You need to be strategic. You know, organizations do what we call being strategic investments, taking you the investments where it matters the most. So that is what we are also supposed to do with relationships. You cannot be going to places where there are the chances of getting a married person are low, and you are hoping that you can start dating. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So if you want to date, make sure that you are exposing yourself to unmarried people. And by the way, this is partly why I created the date right, marry right. Oh, the Kikuyu in me. Date right, marry right, live right page. Actually, if you're in that page, if you're a follower and you have not, searched through and asked yourself, who is this? Are they married? And chances are they are not. That is why they are there. If you have not done that, you are wasting an opportunity. That platform, my desire is to bring together people who are not yet married, people who are dating, and people who are preparing for dating. So expose yourself, increase the chances of coming across an unmarried person, a ready person, by going to places where those people are, whether it is in church, whether it is in social functions, any place where there are unmarried people. That makes the work easier for you. So I'm so happy that you have worked with me this far, and I hope that I've taught you something. It is my desire that we can do these things intentionally as opposed to just bouncing on something here and there, so that we can increase the chances of having happy relationships, happy marriages. If you would want to have a session with me, an online session with me, a video call, a phone call, or even chat sessions, by the way, my number is here. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly do. Kindly. It won't even take you a second. Hapo chini. Just click subscribe, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the love. Thank you for the company, and be blessed.